Exactly. So for us, we use all of the plants that is going to fruit. They are also going to be the money makers at the end of the day.
Guys, this is Gerrit, right?
Yeah.
Swanapo, and are you mainly the manager or what in this?
Yeah, I'm one of the owners here, so I am the one that runs everything here.
Alright, for how many years now?
This farm is 3-4 years old right now, and we've been doing aquaponics now in tilapia for about 10 years.
Now, with the red, white, and the black tilapia, which one is the strongest one you think? Like, prone to diseases and what?
All of them are equally strong. There is differences. The blues or the black ones, they grow much slower.
Oh, really?
Yes, so they stay tiny for a lot longer. The whites, they grow much faster. So they grow at the exponential rate. So it's faster turnaround of your fish.
Okay.
The reds have a better color fillet.
Color filler by...
Fillet. So the actual fillet for the fish, the color of the meat is red.
Oh!
So that is why it's very popular. So everybody has their own one, but different ones as well. Our red fish is genetically altered. The reason is so they can't adapt in Canadian environment. So if any of this should go out into any environment in Canada, it cannot adapt to anything. Where the white and the blue technically can, if it's the middle of the summer and everything is perfect, they can. Where the reds now has a 0 chance. And the offspring of the reds is only male, where the rest is mixed sex.
Alright, that's really interesting, because I was wondering with those 3 varieties. Have you crossbred them?
Yes, we do crossbreed them. The whites and the blues get crossbred quite constantly. The result is a perfect fish. The reds, we keep them separate as well. We do not crossbreed them simply because they are altered. We keep that line strictly out of everything else. So none of the reds, you will see there's no reds here, and the reason for that is the only ones that we have left in Canada. So we keep them altered and we keep them in a different situation so they can...
Now, do you have some of those that you could give me?
No, those are not for sale on fingerling size. They only go out as a commercial fish, and they only go out of this facility when they are killed.
I see.
So on this facility as well, in the front I have a slaughterhouse, and that is where I kill all of our fish so that we can actually send it out to market. We do not send those ones out live.
The red one?
Yeah. Because those...
But the thing is, if you'd be surprised, there's lots of red tilapia in the Philippines.
Yeah, I can see that as well. The red tilapia, there's 2 different types. So you have the pure red Nile or the red tilapia, which is a clean body, no markings, nothing like that. That is where the Asian community was extremely smart, because they love the coloring, the fish is beautiful, so they alter the DNA of the fish, and every time they alter it, they actually allow it to have black spots on them. And the reason for that is just so they can grow faster and that the offspring will be male. And so that is the fish we have. We actually have the altered fish, and yeah, so we use those. They breed, and then the offspring is all male, which is again great for any major aquaculture systems because they grow much faster, they grow stronger, and only males doesn't have your females, so you don't have to worry about them breeding in your dens. The biggest thing that you always have to remember is testing water perimeters. Now we use electronic testing devices. They work, but not always as great. We have found that they can be flawed. Little things that can actually cause them to be off by a point or etc. So we use only chemical testing. The chemical testing is quite accurate, and we've had been very good results with it. So we use a master test kit. A master test kit.
That's the one that I have.
Is that the one you have as well?
Yeah, this one. This is the one that I have. The master.
This one is too small.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. These little guys are out there. So this is the big one. This is the main master test kit. This is the one you want because you can test your iron. This is an important chemical. That's your pH and your water hardness, your calcium levels, and your nitrate levels. So you can basically test every parameter of the whole thing. Chelated iron, normal iron, and your calciums as well, which is extremely important. With this little test kit, where is it? Oh, this one.
This is the only one that I have.
Yes.
Since I only have a small system, that's the only one that I bought.
Exactly, but this one you can only test your ammonia, your nitrates, and your nitrates. So this is basically going to tell you the basic information on your system. If you want to go in a commercial system, you need multiple variables so that you can control the hardness, the salinity, the calcium levels, the iron levels, because all of that is going to give you the results either in being a good growing system and they're going to get your growing rates very high, or you're going to get a system that's going to be, okay.
Oh yeah. I know what you mean.
Water temperature, the area humidity temperature, all of that controls and have effects on your plants as well.
Because all of them are flowering. Even I tried bok choy.
Yeah.
They're flowering. I was like, what the heck?
So first off, try and seed it on that, and then all your leafy greens, no matter what it is, you have to drop your water temperature then, so that it can be below that 15 mark. That way they're not going to bolt, and that's also an easy way to control it.
15. Alright.
Yeah, 15 is that. But remember, same for the tilapia. But at 15, your tilapia is dead.
That's why trout and greens works together.
Yes.
With the tilapia works with the fruity vegetable.
Exactly. Fruiting vegetables want that warmer water on their roots, which is extremely important. And that way your plants is going to do better, and you're going to get a much higher yield.
This is the first time I've seen this design. That's really nice.
Yeah, this one is fairly simple, as I said, but it works phenomenally well. It's a little less complicated than trying to stabilize your water and creating a bigger slowdown on your water. This one is just, it drops the water down. This whole system flows much slower, simply because it is a much smaller system. It only has about 500 gallons of water, and so as the water flows in here, I think it roughly flows at 50 gallons a minute, so the water flow is very slow. So it's much easier to build a solid filtration system for it, and so as it slows down in this tank, it just will overflow. These are all done with ABS and PVC pipe that you're going to find anywhere in a local place, and that way it just flows right over.
It's pretty cool. That was my second question for you, is if you add nutrients to the aquaponics itself.
That is the two nutrients that we add to our system.
So it's potassium and iron,
and
right?
iron.
Okay.
The rest of the nitrates and the phosphates is all produced by our fish, and that way also the plants doesn't need anything else. The potassium is potash, a simple natural occurring mineral, and also magnesium. If you add in potassium, you also have to add in potassium, magnesium, calcium. Those are the three that combine each other. Now if you add in your potassium, I do 1/3 of magnesium and calcium, so that I can ensure that the ratios in the plants actually stay effective and keep on growing.
All right. Now, are there any organic ways to do that?
There's multiple organic ways. Potash is organic, magnesium is derived from Epsom salt, which is an organic mineral as well. Calcium is derived from eggshells, and that is what we use.
Okay. No, iron is, where do you get, sorry?
Iron is, well, lava rock produces the iron that we need. So we have a big amount of lava rock that's in our biofiltration system, and that'll constantly seep up some iron for us. We do have a FEDTPA backup that we can add in if we see the iron levels drop, and that one was diverted. I don't even remember, I'll have to look for you. But that is also another natural source that we can use.
I see. I was like, I don't know what nutrients I'm missing, because there's some plants that grows faster and smaller, but again, you said it should be if you're growing tomatoes, it should be concentrated for tomatoes, or you have, and if it's greeny vegetable, it has specific needs as well.
Exactly. So your potassium is not going to be one that you're going to need in your greens as much. Calcium, magnesium will be one that is a little higher need. So you are going to need some potassium, but not as much. But the calcium, you can immediately see it in your plants as well. Potassium, that is going to be your interveinal sclerosis. That is one of the biggest clues on it, and that way, or tiburn, that is the ones that is going to show, and that way you can.
No, I got my lettuce. Why is my lettuce? I have a romaine lettuce. My lettuce just grow longer. It doesn't. It doesn't, you know.
It doesn't well. So first off, your water temperature is too high. Your room that you use it in is the temperature is too high, because they want that colder weather. Lettuce is a colder weather crop. And then the second thing that is We use the moon to seed with, that way we actually prevent bolting, because your plants is trying to bolt, which means they're going to grow very tall and then they're going to shoot seed. And as soon as the plant do that, that is, for us, we have found that if we plant on the moon cycles, we actually prevent that. And
Moon cycle?
yes, we use the moon to seed. Otherwise, our plants bolt.
Oh, okay. No, so do you prefer it when there's no full moon when you plant, or?
So that gets a little bit different for everything. So when the moon rises from new moon to full moon, we seed everything above ground. And when it basically goes down from full moon to new moon, we seed everything underground.
Okay, that's it. All right. I didn't know that. Okay.
It works for us. We've been doing it for years like that, and that way we actually have just a little bit better hold on not having our plants bolt so much and things like that.
All right.
First, basil. We have a lot of leafy greens. We also grow eggplants, and then a lot of cucumbers on the side, and pickling cucumbers as well. As you can see, our plants do phenomenally well. They grow absolutely fantastic. These tomatoes will actually keep on growing until they reach the second lines. They get pruned daily or weekly, and that way they also produce higher yields.
They go up, okay.
Yeah, we have an average yield that we can get roughly about 60 pounds per plant, and so we have a lot of tomatoes. Traditionally, every single vine will only give you, 12 tomatoes. If you look at the smaller vines, that is the traditional. And if you look at some of the aquaponic vines, ours will split into 3, giving us roughly about 40-50 times the amount of that we usually would get from traditional growing. We've done testing for hydroponic versus aquaponic, and we have found that the aquaponics always outgrow the plants roughly by about 65%. Now, as you can see, we just use normal gravel with a food-safe membrane. Water flows in on the one side, right around the gravel, out on the other side. No bell siphons, nothing like that.
So it's just overflow?
No, yeah, just a straight flow system. So as soon as the water level gets too high like this, that means I need to add in more red wigglers, because there's some of the micronutrients that build up. So the solid waste that breaks down into little particles and stays in the water, they will actually create a little dust in the water. So if you look in the water, you can immediately see, if I sprinkle it up, that is the solid waste. Now that builds up, which means I need to add more red wigglers, and that way they clean the system out and it will dry out.
Red wigglers are the worm, ain't it?
Yeah, that's the worm. And that ensures that my system always flows constant and perfect.
Okay.
Now, as you can see, we grow crazy trees of the tomatoes. The tomatoes is one of our biggest market products. We actually supply Sobeys, and we have a contract with them so that they can actually produce all of our stuff and use it.
And it's all organic, no pesticide in what?
No pesticide, no
fertilizers,
chemical, no fertilizers, nothing like that.
There you go.
We use an organic source for our seeds, so everything comes right from organic source right throughout. You'll see behind me at the top, there's a bumblebee hive right at the top there. And that bumblebee hive actually pollinates this whole greenhouse and allow our plants to keep on growing. So
is that entire colony?
Yes, that's an entire colony. So you'll see them flying around. The reason we use bumblebees, so it's right there in the front.
Yeah,
and the reason we use bumblebees is because they do not sting. They are very, very docile creatures, so they are easy to work along, and they do all the pollination for us. That way we don't have to come in and do pollination. Do an amazing job. I sprung. The reason we have this greenhouse is, one of the biggest ones is no shadows. As you stand in the window, you'll see that you have a shadow right there. As I move back into the greenhouse, where it's the actual greenhouse, no more shadows. These plants grow so tall that they will cast shadows on each other in a traditional greenhouse. Where in this one, all of them have access to light at all times. And then everything is pruned, tied up. Like I said, they will grow to the second level, and we'll start harvesting right at the end of June here, and then we'll harvest right into January.
Now, when pruning is tomatoes, is it after it has the flowers, or just the...
Every day or every week. So every week we will come in. This one is not pruned, so you can see it easily. The stem, the tomato has its main vine, and then it has these little suckers. So we remove these suckers, and here's a big one, because these pull all of the nutrition out of the soil, out of the plant, and they'll put the energy into this instead of setting fruit. This will allow our plants to keep on vining and grow very tall and actually get the fruit.
And the only one that you leave behind are these.
The flowering stems, and of course as we grow and as the things get taller, we remove the main leaves so that there's enough airflow between our plants, and that way they don't get other viruses like blight, things like that, rust. That is all a problem in tomatoes.
Cool.
So when we use and how we decide when to add in potassium, iron, anything like that, is we use basil. Basil is an indicator plant.
Sorry? Basil's for...
basil. So yesterday or this week we had a shortage of potassium, so we just added a lot of them. So you can see immediately in the basil. The basil is going to be the first plant that's going to show you exactly what is needed. So you can see the light green in between the leaves, with the dark green on the main stems. That means there's a potassium shortage in my system. So I had to add potassium because our plants is really fruiting and flowering right now. They need a lot more potassium than traditionally. Yellowing, that is iron usually. So basil is the best indicator plant. Basil will show up first. When you see it in your basil, then you know you have to treat it before it actually starts showing in your main plants. The basil is very, very sensitive and it wants that perfect water parameters, and that is what it's...
So it's technically your tester.
Yeah, this basically shows me what I need. So I have multiple ones of them so that I can go through them and see on average what is needed. And because every plant, you can't just have one plant. One plant might show you a different thing, and that way we have a whole rack of it, and they show us what we need in our system.
Now, they're saying that with ordinary gravel, the pH is hard to control.
Yes, I actually am very fortunate. We have pH stable gravel, which means all this gravel was tested for pH stability before we actually entered it into our system. This one is riverbed, so it is quite nicely grounded up for us, and the pH is extremely well set on it. We have a very, very minimal climate of it. This sulfuric acid or sulfur buildup in our water, you can see that on our gravel. As you look into the gravel, you'll see it is covered with this sulfur right over it, everything. Now our main farm water here has very high sulfur levels, and that can usually manipulate your pH in your system. So by running and feeding enough, we actually get to keep our pH level stable, and using reverse osmosis to remove most of the sulfur in the water as well. To test if your gravel is pH stable, put a cup of water, test the pH in it, put some gravel in it, leave it for 24 hours, and test the pH again, see what's the difference, if it's going to rise or if it's going to set. Simple as that.
Now, is it true that if you use lemon, it lower your pH level?
No.
Organically?
Acidic stuff, to use vinegars, lemons, acetic acid, all of those are going to kill your bacteria as well.
Okay.
So as soon as because it is an antibacterial product, so that is going to kill a lot of the bacteria that is in your system that is helping you convert that ammonia over to nitrates. So by using it, you're actually doing more damage than you're doing good.
I see. So what is your normal way to...
If I see that it is a shortage in my potassium or my pH levels and I need to change it, I would either up my feed, and that way we can actually have more feed in the water, so that way the fish will waste more, and allow my whole filtration system to keep it boosted a little bit, because there's more food that they have to work through, or more ammonia, and that will automatically drop your pH as well.
Oh, so if the ammonia goes up, the pH goes down?
No, yes, yeah, because as you have that conversion from the ammonia to nitrates, it actually releases some acids as well, which will naturally bring it down. The second thing we use is driftwood. Driftwood is a very, very easy way to keep a stable pH. It will constantly release tannic acid, which is not only good for your system, it will color your water a little yellow, preventing an extreme amount of algae buildup, and that will slowly lower your pH as well.
Driftwood. Ooh, there's plenty of that in the Philippines. Are there any specific wood that you required?
No, just make sure you boil it before you put it into your system. That way you can kill off any contaminants.
No, driftwood is the one, if I'm not mistaken, these are the trees that died, right?
Yeah, trees that died next to the lake, so usually just logs that are laying halfway in the river, let them dry out, and that way you can boil them, and then the plants will keep on growing here. Other than that, you keep the plants off.
It seems, I know it's greenhouse, it's really hot in here. Now, do you have, these are pepper?
Yeah, so we have peppers here, we have peppers in the front. These are hot, those are bell peppers. So you can immediately see the difference on the hot peppers, the growth rates versus the normal bell peppers. The bell peppers grow a lot faster, but the hot peppers require a lot more nutrition and they take a lot longer time to grow.
Oh, okay. Now the hot pepper, is it the chili pepper? No.
No, we use habaneros.
Habaneros,
yeah.
Okay.
These traits are habaneros, jalapenos, and...
How long before they sprout out? Because I see some that are already flowering right there.
Yeah, so these guys will start to flower. We usually kill off the flowers right now to allow our plants to grow a little stronger, and that way they're also going to have much bigger fruit set later on.
Ah, okay. So, I mean, what... or how long, or how old is that plant right now?
These plants are they were transplanted March 25th into the system. They were seeded in January. We seed indoors, and then we transplant all of our plants right at the end of March into our system here. And so they are roughly 2 months old right now, and as you can see, they will just start to flower up and also get more fruit set. The first fruits is always killed off, that's the crown fruit, or the first flowers, and that way it allows our plant to put in more energy into growing bigger and taller and giving us more fruit at the end.
Now, a quick question, because there's a bumblebee just swarming here. How many bumblebees do you have there? Entire colony?
That's the entire colony. I think there's about 200 worker bees in there, a queen, and a bunch of other bees as well. These guys are extremely docile, so as you stand right here, unless you're going to swat at them, they're never going to do anything to you.
Yeah, I was thinking of that as well, because probably I might go as well with the tomato, because the weather in the Philippines as well.
Yeah.
Right?
So these guys, they will actually bite the plants and they bite the flower. So if you look at this flower right here, this one has been bit, so it leaves that little bit of a mark on the flower itself, and that way you can actually see that the bumblebee was there. So as it goes and pollinates your flower, it bites it. And,
those small ones. Yeah.
And that allows you to see that the plant is or that fruit has actually been pollinated by the.
I can see that there. I should have brought my macro lens.
Yeah, so that way it just allows us to have extremely good fruit set, and the bumblebees is docile, which means if I prune in here or I cut stuff in here,
you don't get stung.
I don't get stung. Only the worker bees and the females will sting you, and so by me coming in here working, the bumblebees get used to you and they stay on their own way. So
and they die once they sting?
No, they do not.
No?
The bees has a multiple stinger, so they do not die if they sting you.
I thought which one is the one that died then?
Honeybees die.
Honeybees.
Yes, honeybees will die. These guys do not produce any honey or anything like that. They will produce the queen jelly that stays in the hive for them to grow better. And
you just have it in an ordinary box.
That one is actually a specialized hive. I can show you an empty one outside. That way you can see how they do in the inside as well. Now, as you can see, there's little white strips of paper everywhere. These were actually. This is how we get our ladybugs. So all of our ladybugs is produced by BioBest in Canada. This is our pest control. So if we have aphids, things like that, so as soon as we have aphids in our system, we release these guys. So we release about 1,000 of them in the system.
And that's the one that kills those white
aphid plants and the plant lice. They come in,
I think you have one. No, it's just a dry one. I see what you mean.
Yeah, so these guys will keep in our system, and they actually come in and clean everything up, and that way they also.
Is this potato? Eggplant?
No, these are all bell peppers.
Oh, bell pepper. Okay.
Yes. These are all bell peppers on this side, all the way down, and then the other side of that is our vine plants, so cucumbers and eggplants. So in the first bunch, you can see they had major aphid damage, and the aphids did a big number on them. But by introducing the ladybugs last week, they will clean them up, and then these guys will start growing again. So these guys actually have a net here where they can vine up all the way to the top, and it's exactly the same for our cucumber plants. They'll keep on vining, and they keep on producing.
Now, this system, is this just the same thing as this?
Yeah, except this is a deep water culture system, but we found that by lifting the plants up just a little bit, instead of running it right in the water, just giving it a little bit of an air cavity, the roots develop better and they stay cleaner, healthier, and the plants get enough oxygen to actually keep on growing. This system has a lot more issues, algae buildups, things like that.
Yeah, because there's like a sun.
Yeah, there's sun and all that. So for us, we found that the gravel beds work much better. So these will be also converted to gravel beds, hopefully in this season, and that way we can convert it all and run it as.
So now the question is, since you have a very hot greenhouse.
Yeah.
It's only one or some varieties of plants that you could put in, because some plants prefer colder weather.
Exactly. So for us, we use all of the plants that is going to fruit. They are also going to be the money makers at the end of the day. For us, it's better to get 60 pounds of tomatoes on a single plant and have a good income from it, where if you plant in leafy greens, you're going to have maybe $1 every 6 weeks from that same leafy green. You can put 4 of them on a square foot, so if you're lucky, you're going to make $5 every month on a square foot, and where this tomato plant will produce me about $200 on that same square foot.
Noted. All right. Alright, so we're back home. That took longer than I expected. From here to their farm is roughly an hour and a half. So that made 3 hours back and forth. Then the tour lasts probably 2 hours or less than that. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't keep track of the time. But in a way, I learned a lot from there, and hopefully you guys will too. And hopefully that this video is additional knowledge for you guys. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'm gonna give you guys an update with the tilapia that I have here. And yeah, I thank you very much, Gerrit, for your hospitality and the knowledge that you shared with me. And again, this information that you have given me will be a very big help once I go back to the Philippines after this COVID-19 is done. And that's where I'm gonna be putting up this aquaponics with a bigger scale. So hopefully that goes well, and I'm really looking forward to it. But anyway, guys, thank you guys very much. It's been a long day. It's a long travel. You guys have a great day. Stay safe. Wash those hands, and let's just pray that we get this vaccine going, and yeah, and we could go back to our life from before this pandemic that happened. But yeah, run again. Peace out, guys. Deuces.